My name is Shea Otley, and I am the coordinator for the Oklahoma Centennial Farm Ranch Program. It was originally created in 1989 by Governor Bellman, and it was to honor the 1889 land run families that had managed to maintain their properties. It kind of expanded not long after that to just any of the families that had managed to maintain their farms and ranches for that 100 years. So as the time went on, it included the 1893 runs, all of the other land openings, and then just people who started purchasing it, as well as many of our Indian allotment properties. There weren't actually that many for the 89, and then there was just kind of a little bit through there, but the 1993 class of recipients, if you will, that was huge. That was well over 100 properties for that one alone. And we had a period where we kind of went down to only maybe 20 to 30, maybe 40 in a year. The last couple of years have picked up, and we've been sitting at around 60 a year. And some of them are new because they obtained their property in 1918 or 1919 for the ones for this year. But many of them just hadn't heard about the program, or they've switched ownership to somebody who this is something that they want to do, but the previous owner, it wasn't that big of a deal. So, without a doubt, it's the people who contact me. The pride of the families that have managed to maintain the properties for 100 years or more is palpable. There is no doubt. I can get a call that will last 2.5 hours with people telling me the stories of their families, the story of their grandfather, and just little details that as they're telling the story, they're remembering other stuff that they had forgotten. And so they get more excited as they tell the story as they're going on. And I had one gentleman who literally stopped himself in the middle and he said, "I had forgotten that." He said, "I had not thought about that in 60 years. So just the telling of the stories brings up all of these memories that they had forgotten because life gets in the way. You're thinking about work, you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about the day-to-day business on the farm. You forget about the fun that you had when you were 6. You forget about the community parties that were had when you were a teenager. So that bringing that back up, that excitement that it builds, it comes across and you kind of pick up on that excitement and you become just as excited for them during the process. If we don't have these histories, if we don't have them either to read or to listen to, they're gone. That information about what was done, in the 1920s is gone if you don't have it down. And I tell the people all the time, write it down, but more importantly, I tell them record yourself, because a voice is so much more memory and creating than just words on a page. And what people are going to miss when you're gone is the sound of your voice. And if you record yourself telling those stories, then they have that and they will never lose it and they will never forget the sound of your voice. A lot of the ones that we have, there are numerous stories of the families who came together as a whole family, but maybe the husband passed away almost immediately. And so the wife had to maintain the property, she had to continue on, and vice versa. There were situations where the wife passed away, often in childbirth, and the husband had to continue on with all of these very young children and take care of all of them and get them through. Often one or the other would remarry, but it didn't happen right away. And if it was initially when they came in, the weather conditions here were terrible. People came in expecting one thing and they would hit the winter and have no idea what to do. And survival, the fact that they did survive through that was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. We wouldn't do it today. We would be done for, I'm pretty sure, in just a few minutes. That if they've had the property within their family for 100 years, apply. apply, get that family history down in that application, and then we have it. There was one situation where the family members lost their home. It burned down, and I happened to see it on the news, and I was able to take the photographs that they had sent us and mail them to them and say, I know it's not much, it doesn't replace everything you lost, but here's at least something that we had. It's their entire history. It's their pride, it's their dignity, it's the work that their family put into it. It's the fact that they survived, because some of them do have amazing stories of survival and getting through those time periods that other people didn't. So it's this resilience in land form. Not as far as the program, but I just think even outside of the program, people really do need to be focused on tracing their family history and getting those stories from their family members before they're gone. Because you really do, you don't think about it when you're younger. You think you have all the time in the world, and you don't. And by the time you don't, you regret that. You always regret it. The most interesting part is that I think my generation, your generation, are actually way more interested in preserving that history of the family, preserving that information for generations to come. The generations before, I think, because they had to work so hard for so long, that just was kind of not at the back, that wasn't even at the back of their head. They had way more important things to do. They had to keep their families alive in some cases. They had to do everything they could to make enough money to keep their farms going. And so, although they appreciate and respect and love their family history, preserving it just wasn't a thing for them. As they retire, as they get much older, it starts becoming a thing for them again. And I've had many of the recipients who have said, I don't know if my grandkids really care about this, but I want to get it down for them in case one day they do, or in case their kids care about it. I think the more it gets out there, the more of this history is put out there, the more the push is being made to preserve this history, the more people will do it. And the more people, and I think sometimes you just have to give people a place to start. They don't know where to start to ask the questions. And that's what we did with our application. We have a whole list of questions that people can use to answer one question in the application. Most of the people fill out every last bit of it, because they never thought about it, and when they sat down and did, they could just lay it all out for us. So